Welcome to Australia Day 2022. Unfortunately, because of COVID, this year I won't be able to travel to the Murrumbidgee Shire Council to celebrate with you all. So instead we are going to be doing a format that you can watch from home, and you'll be hearing my story, who I am, where I'm from, and how lucky I am to be living in Australia. So firstly, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay our respects to elders past and present. And then I would like to thank the council for inviting me to be their Australia Day ambassador. And I'm really sorry that Nick and I can't be there with you today. I was born in South Africa in a small town called Pietermaritzburg. I grew up there, went to school there. Growing up there, we were kind of oblivious to what was going on around us in the country. And I grew up in a Christian family. So really, we were just friends with everybody. So we grew up appreciating all the different races and cultures that were around us. One of the things I used to do was go up to my mom's farm for holidays, and it was here that we used to mix with everybody. And this is also where I found my love for running, because I used to go running over the hills in South Africa. I finished my schooling there. I then went to university in South Africa, and after that I went to university in America. When I was at junior school, I found that I was a pretty good runner, and it was just so easy, and I just loved to run and I loved competing. Growing up then, I ran at high school and I also ran for the universities. It was just kind of my thing, and it was so easy. So from an early age, it was my passion, and even though I didn't know it then, I soon discovered that this was the thing that made me happy. In 1995, I was married with 2 children, and my husband and I moved to Malaysia. We knew nobody. The children started going to a local school, and I found that one way to really get to know people was to organize a running group. So I would drop my kids at school, and I would get all the moms from the different cultures. They would come to the school and we would meet there, and behind the school there was this jungle. And so I trained them to go running in the jungle, running and walking. But the best thing was that I had people from all different cultures, and some would come long tracksuits, other would come with their headscarves on, and it was wonderful to see the change in these people, because from being shy and inhibited in themselves, they formed part of this group, and they soon they changed what they wore, they came out of their shells, and we would just explore the jungle together, and it was absolutely fabulous. So I realized then that a great connector of different people was find something that you have in common, and then you work together, and it was just so liberating. And these people, they are still my friends today. Also in Malaysia, I joined the Pace Setters Running Club. This was a formal running group with 1,000 members, and I got to know the people there very well, and they became my friends. I'm very competitive, I discovered, and so running there was also a way that I found myself. I got better and better. I was winning races. I think it gave me confidence, and it gave me courage to be the person that I wanted to be. Another thing that we did with the Pace Setters running group was we started a running group for less privileged children, and we would meet every Sunday. They would come on the bus, we would have bananas for them, and then we would start this running group, and it was absolutely awesome. And it's amazing that it's actually in the giving that you get so much back. These kids absolutely loved this running group, and it grew and grew, and I think we ended up with 52 kids coming, and then the parents would come along. They would then start running. So not just a formal running group called Pace Setters, but we had this whole branch off to the side that we just started on a whim to get these kids involved, and it was just fantastic. We immigrated to Australia in 2002, and we came straight to Sydney. And once again, I found myself, I had 2 kids and a husband, but I didn't know anybody. So what you do when you don't know anybody is you start a running group. So I used the same method. I would just start talking to the ladies after school and say, hey, why don't you come down to the Oval and let's start a running group. you get ladies with all different fitnesses. So we actually started a walking group, and then some would run. Then I got a job, and this had to be moved to running in the evening after work. And this was my way to get into a running community living in Australia. I found the people, the Aussies, very accepting, very friendly. They put up with my accent. They also put up with my bluntness, because I know South Africans can be quite forward in their ways. But it was really heartwarming to see how quickly and easily I was accepted into the Australian community. Once again, the running group grew and grew, and I've had a running group since 2002 in Australia, which unfortunately had to come to an end with COVID because we were no longer allowed to run in groups. In these running groups, I met a lot of different people who were doing different distances. I got to find out about other formal running groups, so I joined another large running group where I met different people, and they started to run longer distances. I had run a marathon in Malaysia, but I hadn't really focused on it. And then in this running group, I met all these people who were running longer and longer. I also met Nick, who is now my partner, through work, and he introduced me to long running. So a marathon is 42.195 kilometers, and Nick introduced me to a race called the 6 Foot Track, which is 45 kilometers. And then from there, I just explored, and I did 50 kilometers, and so things just got longer and longer, and more challenging and more exciting. Then one day, Nick said to me, "Why don't you try out for the Australian 100-kilometer running team?" And I thought, 100 kilometers? Who on earth is crazy enough to run 100 kilometers? Anyway, I thought, well, I'm crazy enough, so I went to the trials in Brisbane, and I made the team for the Australian 100 kilometers World Championship team. The 100 kilometers was quite a challenge, but it was absolutely great. We got to go overseas 3 years in a row to run for Australia. There was a women's team and a men's team, and the first year was in South Korea, the second year was in the Netherlands, and the third year was in Italy. Great adventures, great running with Aussies, and it was actually awesome because a lot of the running routes you would either cross people or you would catch up with people, and whenever I used to see them, being a new Aussie, I would go, "Aussie, Aussie, Aussie," and they'd go, "Oi, oi, oi," back to me, until you get past 50, 60, 70 kilometers, and then you have no energy or breath left to keep shouting at each other. One thing that was so awesome is that I was just accepted as an Aussie. There I am, coming from South Africa. Next minute, I'm running for Australia, and it was just fantastic. It was just like, yeah, I'm home in this wonderful country where people have just accepted me for what I am. It really struck home, as does the Australian national anthem. One thing my running has given me is great courage. I didn't know that I would be able to achieve what I have achieved. I was this very shy schoolgirl who ended up running for Australia. It just gives you this oomph that you need. It just gives you the self-worth. You just believe in yourself, and you just, so many times I think, oh, I'm not a very good runner, and then someone has to say to me, "Yeah, you are a good runner." And you go, "Yeah, of course. I'm doing okay, you know, because I have this courage inside me that can see me through, and that makes me competitive, and it makes me who I am, and it makes me stronger, and it just gives me this flame." And when I run, I often put my arms out because it feels like I'm flying. It's just awesome. During the time of running the 100 kilometers, Nick and I decided to go and run the Comrades Marathon in South Africa. It's one race I've always wanted to run. It's a run between two cities, so it's about 90 to 92 kilometers. It just so happens that one of the ends is in my hometown, Pietermaritzburg, and the other end is at the city of Durban, which is where I went to university. So I knew the route very well. This run, you have about 30,000 people, and it is just awesome. The camaraderie, the route is just lined with people. there's nothing about color or race or anything. Everyone just cheers and you just help each other. You know, if you're collecting half a banana from an aid station and there's somebody next to you, you just pass it on. It's the best race I've ever run, and I've run a lot of races. The one thing Nick and I did notice, though, was the poverty of the people along the way. It was really sad. A lot of young kids running along in very old or very little clothing. Most of them had no shoes. When we did pass half the bananas, they would be there with their hand out, hoping to get some food or anything that you've got left over. So this was really moving, because you have here all these people, a lot of people international, who come to run this race, and we've got all these fancy running clothes and fancy shoes, and here are people who are starving, often unable to go to school, who have nothing. So this really hit home, and when Nick and I got back to Australia, I said to him, you know, we need to do something about this, because we need to somehow help the people in South Africa. And being a runner, and being both of us being runners, I thought, what is a way that I could really help these people? Running makes me feel so awesome. How about I collect good but used running shoes, and then I send them to South Africa? A lot of people running the Comrades Marathon didn't have shoes, or they had very old shoes, and they weren't even running shoes. Some were running in sandals. So I thought, let me see if we can make a difference by sending some running shoes back to South Africa. Collecting the running shoes was very easy, because most of my friends are runners, so I come from a good running community. So I just put the word out. I contacted a shop. A friend there was able to collect shoes from his running shoe shop, and we collected all the shoes. I brought them home. Some were a bit dirty, so I'd fill up the bath. I would scrub them with a scrubbing brush in the bath. Then I would hang them out on the line to dry, stuffing them with newspaper. We packed them up, and we sent our first box to South Africa. The one thing we hadn't realized is that it's actually very expensive to send things to South Africa, or a lot of places in the world. It also takes 3 months, and not all the packages get there. So we thought, how can we change this so that this model can work slightly differently? And we decided to look local. So we had a look around to see what organizations we could work with, and we soon discovered that most of the homeless people, especially in the warmer climates, they live in running shoes. They're on their feet a lot. They do a lot of walking, and there is such a need for running shoes. So we decided that this would be our goal, to get running shoes to as many Australians in need, and we formalized our charity called Shoes for Planet Earth. So having our charity Shoes for Planet Earth is not just about having a charity where you give people shoes. We wanted to give back something a little bit more. So we phoned a couple of juvenile justice centres, and we managed to get hold of some people at the Juniperina Juvenile Justice Centre here in Sydney, and said, can we come and do a volunteer fitness training session? Boy, the next week we were there with our boxing gloves, skipping ropes, whatever we could. We were taken into the facility through quite strict security, and for 4 years we volunteered, helping these young girls have an outlet of some of their frustrations. They loved the boxing, skipping. They were very competitive, so if we had relay races, they would love that. We were also very good listeners, because often they just wanted somebody to talk to who wasn't in the system. Christmas time, we would give them little gifts. We would go there, and we got to know them very well, especially one girl who we then were part of her life when she got out, and we would go to her school functions. So for them, it was something they looked forward to every week, and for us, it was just simply fabulous knowing that we could make a difference in these young girls' lives. As I said, we did that for 4 years. After we stopped that, we then decided that, well, of course we can't do nothing, so we have to continue to do something, and I wanted to get more involved with the homeless. So I contacted a couple of the homeless centres in Sydney, and I said, hey, how about I start a running group, or at least a walking group with some of your people who come to your facility? And they laughed at me. They said, well, you can try, but the homeless don't need a walking group because they walk every day, all day. And I said, okay, let me just try. So I made some posters, put it up on the wall, and I would go down there in my running gear, walking gear, and of course I took some shoes, which was a great incentive, and I would say, hey, if you guys come on a walk, you can get a free pair of shoes. Well, this worked very well. So they would come, they would get their shoes, give them a pair of socks, and for a couple of years, I would go down every lunchtime, and we would have a walk around Sydney, and it was beautiful. We always chose lovely places to walk. The people who came to our running group, a variety of people, quite a few international people, it was a way that they could connect with each other, as well as connecting with people who were committed to persevering, to being there for them, because they haven't had a lot of consistency in their life. We would go to different places, we would have fun, we would laugh, we would take photos, we have a Facebook group, and this was something that they really, really appreciated and loved, especially the photos. From this, we decided to call ourselves the Renegade Runners. We had t-shirts made, caps, everything, and I entered them into a couple of fun runs. The first one was the City to Surf. We had 4 people who ran the City to Surf. They had never participated in events before. This was huge. These guys were in tears at the end. A couple of them didn't have a wall on which to hang their medals, so that was quite an eye-opener. So a lovely gesture was that they gave them back to the facility, the homeless facility, where they would go and have meals. The second group that we took for a fun run was the Santa fun run. So we all dressed up in our Santa suits. This was 5 kilometers, and we had some great photos finishing at the Opera House. And this was the highlight of some of them. They just wanted to do more and more events. Unfortunately, this came to an end. Winter came, it was very cold and wet, and we had to stop doing our weekly walks. But it was with great fondness that I remember these people. And now when I go into the city and I see some of these same people sitting down in the city centre, I get the biggest hug, masks of course, but I get the biggest hug from these people, because we had such fantastic times together, and we just united once again. There we are, all Aussies, and it was our sport and our running that kept us together. Yeah, it was just fabulous. Our charity, which we started in 2009, it has gone through some growth spurts and different changes. One of the changes was obviously COVID. What we used to do before was we would have different, like podiatrists, shoe stores, gyms. They would be shoe collectors. So everybody would go there and drop their shoes off. Then these shoes would be donated to different organizations, disaster victims, people in need, street soccer programs, Heart Foundation had walking groups, so we would really distribute these shoes all over Australia. With COVID, this came to a bit of a stop. Many of the places were closed, so they couldn't collect the shoes. So what we've done now is we have a lot of people emailing us. They say, I live in this place, and often I have no idea where it is. I have 2 pairs of shoes, where can they go to? So we spend a lot of time facilitating the movement of shoes. Sometimes they have to post them, sometimes it's just around the corner, they drop them off. So this is, yeah, it's working very well. You just have to go with the flow and make a plan so that things can continue, because we're doing such a good job that people rely on us for their shoes. So far we have distributed more than 92,000 pairs of shoes. So sometimes you think, oh, am I really making a difference? And then you remind yourself, no, 92,000 pairs, that's 92,000 lives that you have changed. I think about 10,000 of these have gone overseas, and the rest have been local. So just the fact that I know that I'm helping all these Aussies to improve their lives, give them opportunities. They can now go and play sport. If you don't have a pair of shoes, you often don't want to leave the house because you don't have pride, dignity, which we all need. So you give them a pair of shoes and all of a sudden, oh, I can go out, I can do this, I can meet my friends, I can maybe look for a job. So just little ways that we are making a difference. So the charity has been all-consuming, and I've managed to do it in between jobs. It keeps me focused on helping people, And I found it really, really rewarding. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have the charity besides running. So it is, and it fits so well in with my passion, because I can relate to people, because a pair of shoes can just make all the difference and change a person's life. I am very fortunate that I have my family here living in Australia. I have a wonderful partner, Nick. Both my children are active and healthy, and my son has recently taken up ultra running. So he and I have this fun competitiveness, which we do during an event. So far I have beaten him on everything, but I suspect that won't last long as he gets stronger and gets more wisdom on the running side. My daughter, she is not very fond of running. She has before, but she prefers to be in the gym. My partner Nick, he and I used to run together all the time. Unfortunately, he can no longer run anymore. All my friends are runners, just about. And even if we no longer run together, we're still friends. So running has really been the key that has taken me all the way through my life. Wherever I've been, it's been start a running group here, start a running group there. This is how you meet people. So it has impacted my life in so many ways. I didn't realize it was my passion. I know that I couldn't do without it, but my passion has taken me to great places. So I ask you to think about, what do you love doing? Maybe you don't do it often, maybe you can't do it often, but think about what really it is that you love doing. Because if this makes you happy and something that you're good at, this is probably your passion. See if you can incorporate it more into your life, and then see if you can use it to help other people. Australia is the perfect place to grow your passion. People are there to support you. People are there to encourage you. I haven't found anywhere in Australia where I've had a roadblock to do what I love to do. Things have just opened up. I've been able to grow. I've opened doors. I've gone on adventures that I never thought possible, because I've followed through with my passion, and because I'm living in such a great country that has given me the opportunity and the support and the belief in me that I can do all these wonderful things. So as an individual, you use your passion. If everyone's using their passion, it then spreads throughout the community, and you have a community full of people using their passion. Then this community works together, and it fits and it just encompasses the whole town, and it just grows throughout Australia. Australia is already an awesome place, and if we all just use our passion and all just use what we're good at, Australia's just going to be, can it be more awesome? No, I don't think so, but it'll just be absolutely awesome for everybody, where we can all just be proud to be Aussies. So I have to finish with Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi.